Hi, this is Natalie Rydstrom, and you're watching SBR Picks. Many sports bettors shy away from soccer and great tournaments like the UEFA Europa League, Champions League sister competition, because they simply don't understand some of the intricacies involved. Today we're going to run through soccer's second greatest annual competition with the help of sports writer and SBR contributor Kevin Stott. Kevin, thanks for being here.
Hey, Natalie.
Now let's start from the beginning with a brief introduction into what is the Europa League.
The Europa League is basically the little sister of the Champions League. The teams that can't finish in the top, every league has. Some leagues have four teams that qualify. Some teams have three or the top two that qualify for the Champions League. This is for the teams that finish second through sixth in their individual European leagues, trying to fight their way up to the Europa League. The first qualification round has 78 teams in it. The second qualification round has 80 teams in it. The third is 58. So as you can see, it's a lot thicker, a lot more teams than the Champions League. But that's just the way it is. It's sponsored by the same UEFA, the same governing body. So it's just basically all the teams that are basically between fourth and sixth or seventh in their leagues playing in a tournament to try and win that tournament, and that's what these first three rounds are about. All the countries are in all the countries from there's 54 countries in the European Association. They all participate in it. They all, like the Champions League, these first three rounds lead up into a playoff round. 62 teams make it into the playoff round, and then 29 of the teams from that playoff round then go to the group stage, which a lot like the Champions League is when people start paying attention to the Europa League. Very few people pay attention to the Europa League or the Champions League in those first four qualification rounds. They're very long tournaments, and a lot of it's just to get countries like Moldova and San Marino and Faroe Islands and these smaller places a chance to participate in a tournament and theoretically be a European champion. But it's basically a weeding out, paring down process up until the group stage.
Yeah. What does it mean for a team to play in the Europa League?
It's the prestige. It's a lot like the Champions League, but just maybe with a little less luster. But it's still great for a lot of these teams because Europa League is something that they aspire to. Like if you're not in Germany or Spain or England, one of the top three associations, if you're in one of these 10 through 20 or 20 through 30 countries, the Europa League means a lot more to you than it would if you're like a jaded Englishman that, like if you're a Tottenham fan and you're in Europa League, you're thinking, oh, crap, we're in Europa League again. What good is that? We're going to get teased by people saying we're not in Champions League. Whereas if you're in Greece or if you're in Turkey or if you're in Sweden or something, it's kind of cool to be in Europa League. You don't have the stigma of not being one of the three big countries.
Do you find betting on the Europa League different than betting on the Champions League? Is there differences?
No, that's an excellent question. I find that I've been more successful in the Europa League in the group stage because there's 12 different groups of 4 teams, 48 total teams, as opposed to the Champions League, which just has the 32. There's more crappy teams to bet against, and that's my style. There's also more games. Therefore, you can make a parlay or an accumulator, and you can put together a bunch of teams that you like or a bunch of underdogs, depending on your gambling style. So Natalie, I actually like the Europa League more than the Champions League in terms of gambling. I've been more successful in it because of, and it's weird. They play on Thursdays too, which is kind of a unique thing. They play on Thursdays, so you can, and they all play at the same time, so it's neat. You can get a parlay going. You can't watch them all at once because they're all going at the same time, but you can have them all leak in at the same time. And I was very successful with some parlays last year in the Europa League, so I am sort of a fan of it.
Now, a healthy number of sports gamblers have never gravitated towards soccer betting. Why is that?
It's a great question. I think in America, once a league starts, our 4 major professional sports, hockey, baseball, football, and what's the basketball, the NBA, once the sports start in America, so this is one thing that is a great thing that I learned from all this. Once the sports start, the sport goes. Baseball starts in late March, April. It goes till September. There's no baseball players going to play in a European tournament. There's no baseball players playing in a friendly in the middle of July. There's nothing funky going on once the leagues start in America. It's just straight business. This is what confuses a lot of Americans, I think. Now, when you talk about soccer, These teams could be playing in 5 or 6 different tournaments in a given calendar year, and that can just be too much for, I hate to say an American, but a non-soccer bettor to absorb. It might be too much. Like Chelsea playing in Champions League, it's playing in their own English Premier League tournament, playing in the FA Cup, playing in the Capital One Cup, playing in friendlies, playing in all these things. It confuses people. They don't know, well, I thought Chelsea was a Premier League team. No, they are a Premier League team. They're just playing in the FA Cup. People don't stop to see that the FA Cup is an English tournament of teams, clubs, all the teams within that country. It's just a matter of slowing down and appreciating things and digesting them. It's a lot like cat owners and dog owners. If you don't have a cat, you think cats are crazy. And then you get a cat and you understand cats. It's the same stuff with soccer, Natalie. It's really simple, and it's just it's want. Do people want to get into soccer? A lot of people say, 0-0, 1-0 boring. I'll tell you what, you bet on something, it stops becoming boring. That's very true. I notice that in football and in basketball and in things. If I don't bet on basketball, I really don't care about it that much. But if I bet on it, you notice things. I talked about this on the radio. You hyper-concentrate. You really pay attention to every little thing everybody does. So it's a great tournament, and it's a very good question. I think it's just distraction. I think Americans are used to having a league. The baseball started, and it goes for 9 straight months. To have soccer players that are traveling all over, let alone then you toss in the World Cup, or a Euro tournament, and it's just maybe too much for most non-soccer bettors to digest. I'm being careful not saying Americans. Americans, for the most part, are into American football, so it's hard for them to process it, and that's another important thing that nobody ever says. It's very hard for a gambler, for a human being, for a writer, for a sports fan to digest both American football and European football because they're both being played at the same time, and it takes up so many hours in the day. I mean, you could get up and watch European football at 4:30 my time and watch American football till 11:30 at night. So it's really time-consuming, and like if you had a wife and kids and serious things, it's you just probably wouldn't have the time to get into soccer. So that's my long-winded answer.
Okay, well, there's a number of times to bet on the competition. Obviously, the first is before the tournament. We've got healthy odds often on the futures there. Then you've got match betting. Another great time is to bet after the draw, where we move on to the final 16. Which stages of betting do you like?
Well, I haven't done it that much for this particular tournament, but I think this is the best tournament to do what you're saying, is to bet between the different stages. Whereas you can anticipate that a Bayern Munich, a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid is going to win the Champions League. You can't predict, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, you can't predict who's going to win this Europa League. When I look at this list of, all of the top, I'd say anyone all the way down to even the 25-1s can win it. Sporting Lisbon, Olympiacos, Athletic Bilbao, Mönchengladbach, Wolfsburg's having a great year. Fiorentina, Serie A, 20-1. I think, Natalie, that 20 teams in the Europa League can actually win the tournament, giving perceived value to the futures bets. Whereas in the Champions League, we talked about it last week, I think there's a chasm. I only think there's 4 teams that can win Champions League. And maybe Juventus 5, but probably not. But in this tournament, I think there's 20 teams that can win it.
Mm-hmm. Now, briefly conclude to us why you think we should bet on the Europa League.
Because of the value and because of the odds. Like in the futures market, for example, Sevilla, the defending champs, are 14-1. Villarreal, they're 16-1. These teams play Barcelona and Atletico Madrid and Malaga and Real Madrid, twice a year. So it's like being a piranha in a tank of piranhas. You have to be tough to survive. So therefore, the teams in Italy and the teams in Spain, in England and Germany are a lot tougher than the other European countries because of the level of competition they're playing.
Okay, wonderful. Kevin Stott, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Natalie.